Hello everyone, my name is Arseni Kalma. I'm an engineer in QEDIT, and today I'm going to talk about an important problem that we encounter a lot, the balance between privacy and compliance. And I'll be talking about Solana to Zcash, to a win that we had with zero-knowledge proofs. But before we begin, I know it's after lunchtime, so we can do a little breathing exercise. It's called box breathing. It's very simple. Actually, a lot of athletes and performers use it and do it. It's 4 simple steps. Each step is 4 seconds. So it's going to be like this. We're going to inhale, then hold it for 4 seconds, exhale, hold it for 4 seconds, and then do another cycle. And then we're all going to feel focused and ready for the presentation. So you can ease your shoulders, you can close your eyes, or release your gaze if you want. And we will start. So again, in 4 seconds, let's inhale together. Let's hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale. Hold it for 4 seconds. And then inhale again. Hold for 4 seconds. 3, 4, and then exhale. Okay, now we're ready to begin. So the problem of privacy and compliance is recurring in QEDIT a lot. So I encountered it personally that sometimes I wanted to advance with things. And John personally told me, like, let's stop because this is going a bit too far in terms of privacy, because we also need to make sure that the compliance part is in place. And in terms of privacy and compliance, I'll be talking about, from the privacy side, about zero knowledge. And in terms of compliance, I'll be talking on the side of KYC, know your customer, and anti-money laundering policies. In terms of how we're going to use it, it's usually in stable coins. So as I mentioned, Solana, Zcash, and any other blockchain. In terms of the protocols that we're going to use, you probably heard most of it before in other presentations. We're going to use Bulletproof, Blanc, and other protocols. And the blockchains, as I mentioned, we're going to work with Zcash, Solana, and other blockchains. And from the title, I will start with Solana. So Solana introduced confidential transfers very recently, and they were activated on mainnet very recently. They were introduced a long time ago. And they are part of the token 2022 contract. The token 2022 is like the ERC20 on Ethereum. And just on Solana, they have their own protocol and standard. And in terms of the confidential transfers themselves, they conceal the transaction amount only. So on any confidential transfers, we can tell who is the party that's sending the transaction, who is receiving, but we cannot tell the amount. So this is the main thing of it. Another important part that it's prepared for large-scale use. This is one of the big emphases in Solana, that it's scalable, it's pretty much ready live, and in the same sense, also confidential transfers. And maybe the most important part, that QEDIT and Bits of Gold, which is the biggest crypto exchange in Israel, launched the first stablecoin using confidential transfers. So a little bit more about confidential transfers, that it uses battle-tested encryption and very simple and straightforward zero-knowledge proofs, like Elgamal encryption to encrypt the token balances. In terms of the protocol for the zero-knowledge, it uses bulletproofs. Another thing about it, that it requires some off-chain encryption and decryption support. So also the user itself has to do some part of the encryption and decryption. And also in terms of the network that's used, the validators, so the miners of Solana need to support the confidential transfers in terms of the encryption that is used. And another important thing about it, that by definition, it's pseudo-anonymous. So we cannot tell who are the entities, we cannot tell the amounts, but we do see the transaction graph, so we can see who sent to whom. We just cannot tell how much. So I just want to explain more a little bit about this, because it's important to see the balance between the privacy and compliance, in that sense of confidential transfers, that we just hide the amounts. So in terms of the tools that we have for the compliance part of it, is that the issuers and some authorized parties can select which accounts will have those confidential transfer abilities. So when issuer creates a token by the token 2022 contract, he can decide if he wants to allow the confidential transferabilities to everyone or to no one, and then just enable it specifically to some specific accounts. So this is one tool that we have in Solana to enable compliance. Another thing that we have is the ability to freeze accounts and then unfreeze them. So if we see that some account, some user is behaving not in the proper way as we define it, we can at any point freeze his account, both his confidential balance and also his regular balance, which is different in Solana. And again, the transfers are linkable, so we can see who sent to whom and what's going on after and before that. We can just conceal the amounts that are sent. So this is about Solana and token 22 and the confidential transfers there. But we also wanted to provide a more private solution. So a solution that will also conceal not just the amounts, but also the transaction graph in the sense. So this is where ZSA, Zk shielded assets, come in play. So they provide full privacy and full unlinkability. So we cannot tell who sent to whom, and also cannot tell the amounts. So this gives us a deeper privacy with ZSA, Zk shielded assets. So as I mentioned, it hides both the amount and the transaction graph, giving full privacy to the users. And also to balance the privacy to the compliance part with ZSA, we need some, let's say, deeper compliance tools. So one of them is the viewing keys. So if needed, and it's only conditional, we are able to see the amounts and the transaction itself. So this is, in a sense, gives us better control of the compliance and also better control of the privacy for the users. And also, on top of all of that, so specifically on ZSA, we have all the Zcash building standard privacy features. So this is just addition to that. So this is specifically about ZSA. And from here, I just wanted to say again in general that QEDIT provides a full solution for stablecoin issuance on Zcash. So to make sure that both the amounts and the transaction graph are hidden. And if required, they can be inspected by an auditor just to keep the compliance part in place, because we always need some sense of regulations and a way to make sure that the network is used for the better of humanity, let's say. And yeah, again, it pretty much extends and adds feature on top of Zcash privacy standards. So this is still in development, although QEDIT is ready to implement. And QEDIT is not just ready to implement, QEDIT is also implementing and doing things not just in theory, but also in practice. And in the practice sense is that we won a competition by Bank of Israel for stablecoin and stablecoin use cases. It's a use case that you're probably very familiar with. So we can call it by a lot of different names, by the broker problem or maybe the ticket sale race condition. So let's say you have a ticket to Bulgaria, a flight ticket, and then you want to sell it to someone, and you found someone that wants to buy it, and now we need to do the exchange itself. So we need to change the ticket name to the buyer, and the buyer needs to send us the money, and then we, in the same problem of the race condition of who's going to do what first. So that's a pretty common problem. It also takes some investment from the seller side because he needs to pay money to do the ticket name change itself. And we found a solution for it. And I'll show you the demo, and after that we can talk about the benefits and also another part of cryptography that was used that I didn't mention so far. So it starts with the simple Yes. So you start with Jonathan, the seller. So you found Yaniv that wants to buy the ticket, and they talk on WhatsApp, and they agree on the amount. So Yaniv wants to buy the ticket for 555 shekels, and they agree on it. And then Jonathan, again, the ticket seller, he sends his stablecoin address, and then Yaniv confirmed that that's good, and he will lock the amount. And so what does it mean to lock the amount? He will take the money agreed, and he will lock it, set it to the side, and this amount will be released only if Jonathan, the seller, or anybody else can provide a proof that the ticket name happened. And if no proof will be provided, in this example, in 30 days, the amount will be returned to Yaniv. So again, just a recap of the scenario. We have Jonathan that wants to sell the ticket to Yaniv. Yaniv wants to buy it. Yaniv deposited or locks the amount agreed to the side. Jonathan needs to change the name, and then he is able to get the amount to him. So this is the exchange between both of them. This is Yaniv's side. So this is Yaniv's token account. He has 1,000 shekels, and he locks the amount for the plane ticket. He gives Jonathan address, because if the proof will be provided, Jonathan will receive the funds. He gives some details about him, that is an adult male, Yaniv Raveh. And then you can see the lock was created and generated for 30 days. So we know that this amount is locked and will be unlocked only if Jonathan, or again anybody else, can provide a proof that the ticket name was changed. Yeah, but it gives the general details that needed for the ticket. So this use case is pretty much like we know the context of it, but this can be used for any other thing, like buying a car, or buying a plane, or whatever you want to sell. So the last part of it is how Jonathan does the name change itself. So he goes to the airline website. He can see the lock was created for 555 shekels. He can see the buyer's details, Yaniv. We can see that Jonathan is the name on the ticket currently. He wants to change the name. He sets the details by the lock. So the lock also has the details metadata. Yaniv Raveh, adult male, and then he needs to pay for the name change, 250 shekels. He pays for it. And then we can see that on the website, the name on the ticket was changed because we paid, and then Jonathan creates the proof. So the proof, in a sense, shows the website is really Witcher in this example, and the ticket name was changed to Yaniv with his details, and that's how Jonathan created the proof, and we know that it's authenticated to the website, and he didn't bluff it, and I'll explain in a moment how it was done. But this example won the central bank's digital currency competition of Bank of Israel with its very simple zero-knowledge proof solution. And it showed multiple things, but the most important ones, it solved the ticket sale race condition. So a very simple scenario that can be used in a lot of different, for a lot of people. It involved advanced cryptography. So first of all, holding the stable coin, locking it, and then creating the proof, which I'll cover in the next slide, and then releasing the funds to Jonathan, to the seller. So it won the Bank of Israel award. It's very easy to use, and we saw that people just got it. So people understood clearly what's going on, and what's the use case, and what's pretty much the market for it. So the last part that was missing in terms of cryptography and technology is TLS notarization. So TLS notarization is a cryptographic method that allows to create a snapshot, a notarized, authenticated snapshot of a website, but still given enough place for the privacy part of the user. So the user doesn't have to give on his cookies or other details that he doesn't want to as part of the proof. He can redact it and remove personal details. So not just personal details, but also cookies from the transaction. Let's say he used this credit card, so he can redact this network communication and just show that which error is now shows the ticket name by the buyer, Yaniv. So again, this is a very important part that I didn't mention before, because we're going to have another presentation talking about specifically TLS notarization and its use in future use in the Brave browser. So that's we're going to see later. And for now, thank you very much. And if you have any questions.
It's not an accident that the names are Jonathan and Yaniv, because we actually had to buy tickets and change the names and do the HTTPS listening and all of this in order to actually do the use case. So there's a ticket to Varna, which is another city in Sofia, in Bulgaria, where there was a ticket there and we had to change it. It's actually not very expensive from Tel Aviv. So who has a question? Thank you, Arseni. Who has questions? All right. So we are actually diving into this topic in the next few sessions, trying to understand how can we use the underlying zero-knowledge proofs for concrete uses. So thanks again, Arseni.